So my name's Will, I'm one of the Principal Occupational Therapists at the Wolfson Unit. We've got some of these brand new robotic devices that we use in upper limb rehabilitation, which we're really lucky to have because they're only one of a handful of NHS hospitals that have. We have two different robots. One's working more distally on people's fingers, and this one which works more on people's shoulders and trunks. And they're really useful for a range of disabilities, for stroke, for Guillain-Barré, for anything really that's caused kind of weakness. This one here is the AMADEO, named after AMADEO Mozart, because this is great for people who have very weak fingers, who just need to start with movement, or for people who've started to get some movement back but just need to do lots of repetitions. And with those repetitions, the way that it's set up is because there's games and things that motivate you, people are able to do a lot more than they're able to do than doing it in other activities. And in rehabilitation, it's all about intensity. The new guidelines in stroke tell us people need to do 3 hours of physical rehab a day to make change, and these robots really help with that. This one's also got a vibrating function, so that's great for people who also have problems with their sensation. This one is a DIEGO, named after Diego Maradona, Hand of God. And again, this uses the principle of de-weighting. And when you go to move your arm, the first thing you need to do when you move your arm is to lift the weight of your arm, which is 3 to 5 kilos for most people. So if you're very, very weak and you go to move and you can't actually lift that amount, then you just don't generate much movement at all. So again, for someone who's very weak, you can put them in here. The machine takes the weight of the arm and they get this beautiful freedom of movement. They're able to suddenly access that movement. For other people who've again got a bit more movement back, what we find is often a few times after they reach, they'll start to get very tired, or they'll start to use muscles we don't want them to use around their shoulder, start to bring forward. What this does is, because again it takes part of the weight, enables them to access that nice movement that we want from the shoulder, and moving around, and able to get a lot more repetitions, mixed in with the principles of game theory, which is you've got small goals, medium goals, big goals, competition against yourself or against the time, speed. And what we find is where people sometimes in sort of more standard rehab get a bit bored, find it really hard, focus on how difficult it is. When you've got a game that's motivating you, then you can just keep going and going and going. And we find people here are getting hundreds of reps rather than say 20 or 30 or 40, which we might get in other activities. This one you can also use facing outwards and give people an actual activity to do. So I've done painting, I've done some simple kitchen tasks. We've had a gentleman recently who was eating, who couldn't feed himself, but with this could practice eating to get stronger. So you can use it in everyday tasks, not just the games as well. And the last thing we love about this is the headset. The virtual reality headset patients absolutely love because it enables them to reach up and really get immersed in the game, and particularly if they're having trouble with concentrating and attending to what's going on, then the virtual reality headsets really help. So we're going to use these to add a lot more intensity into the rehab that our people are getting, so it's not instead of what we're doing, but on top of what we're doing, so that people are getting much more activity and much more work on their arm.